Hi guys, this is Fake Life, and this is the Week 4 wrap-up for the Mister Hadwick Championship Invitational Season 1. So we're officially over halfway done with the league, and things are actually starting to separate out pretty well. We go to the last week wrap-up. We had Walrus and his orc team beating Six-Legged Spiders Dark Elves 2-0. We had Eki Thump's Corn Demons tying Tortas Dwarves 0-0. We had a Sad Panda's Amazons beating Heavy Weapon Gentlemen's Orc Team 1-0. And we had Eurotal One's Dwarves beating Gil Keys Humans 2-0. So that leaves the rankings with Walrus and a Sad Panda tied for first with 10 points. Torta and Eki Thump tied for third with 5 points. Six-Legged Spider and Eurotal One tied for fifth with 4 points. And Heavy Weapons Gentleman and Gil Key tied for 7th place with 2. So things are starting to kind of separate out, and the rich are getting richer at this point. Walrus and a Sad Panda are both doing well, despite a Sad Panda having the lowest TV in the league at the moment. But let's take a look at the individual teams and where they are right now. And first is going to be Walrus's team, and his team basically keeps getting scarier as it levels up. So he's got a thrower with block now, and that's fine. He now has 2 blitzers with +1 agility. And one of his agility blitzers picked up guard. So he's got 3 guards on his blitzers. He's got 2 4 agility guys. So he can actually do some legitimate passing at this point, and he's also got a lot of guard for his blocking. I mean, there's nothing to complain about. I still think the team to beat at the moment. He's got a tie for the best record, and his team looks real frightening at this point. On the other hand, we'll look at Panda's team, and he won his game, but he's down to 990 TV. And so he's got a line woman level up he hasn't taken yet. And he's got this block line woman. And he's actually got a catcher with block, and 1 blitzer is going to be out for next game. We keep talking about this with Panda, that he could at any point have a really amazing week because he's got so many players with like 3 and 5 SPP, and he's got 1 more level up, but he's still got a bunch of people sitting around at like 3 and 5 and numbers like that. And out 1 blitzer is kind of rough. I mean, they need to do a lot of work when you play with Amazons. But despite the fact that he's basically been running at really low TV the entire tournament, he's tied for first, so you can't complain too much. We'll see what happens with his next game, though. We'll get into that shortly. Next is Tortas Dwarves, and there is only 1 level up to go with this runner we've been talking about for a while, and that is guard on a blocker, that's the level up you want on your dwarf blockers. Other than that, the Passy Dwarf is still around. He hasn't done much scoring lately. He's got another blocker at 5 that could level up soon, and a guy at 3, but most of his other people are a little ways from leveling up, so he's going to be kind of probably stuck with what he's got for a while. He's tied for third, so he's doing fine, but there's just a huge clump once you get beyond Walrus and Panda. So he can't feel too comfortable, but he's one of the guys with an advantage going into it. And next is Corn Demons, who've gotten up to 1230 TV, and they have 1 Bloodletter Demon with guard, and now they have 3 Pit Fighter Cultists who all have block, and 3 rerolls. So he's finally starting to get some skills that really let him do what he wants to do with Corn, which is make use of that frenzy, which is such a huge liability at low TVs. Block on 3 Pit Fighter Cultists is really nice. He can get around those problems. And of course, the guard and the Bloodletter Demon makes it a lot easier to turn those frenzies into 2-die blocks. Again, he's tied for third, but in a huge clump with a lot of other people, basically. So he's got a bit of a edge going into these next few games, but not much. I just like the fact that his level ups have been coming fairly steadily, and he's been getting really good skills that really help Corn do what they need to do. Next is Six-Legged Spiders Dark Elves. So I mean, not much to see here. He's got a blitzer with plus movement, which is a wonderful thing. 8 movement makes him real fast, and the Dark Elf blitzers are already pretty great. Other than that, he has replaced his kick lineman that died with another kick lineman. So that's it. He's pretty low on TV. He's got 4 points, so he's tied for 5th place. And upcoming level ups are fairly scarce, but this blitzer could get a level up, which would be great. I assume he's going to be trying to play to force the ball on this guy or make a pass or do something to get a level on him. Still 2 rerolls. He has not had much luck with the money. He got his apothecary, but of course he had to replace him. Oh, he bought an assassin. I see. That's where his money went. I don't know if I agree with that over another reroll, but he's got an assassin. Assassins are, of the Dark Elf pieces, they have the crummiest stat lines, and in return they get shadowing and stab. And they're both skills that make you want to stand next to people, and you tend to get beaten up when you do that with assassins. But obviously, he may find some use out of it. We'll see what happens. And we've got Eurotal One's Dwarves next. He started off 0-2 in his comeback round and is doing a whole lot better now. He's got a plus strength blitzer, which is pretty scary. I mean, 4 strength on any player is nasty. He's got a dodge Troll Slayer because he rolled doubles on him, and, well, I mean, dodge is pretty great when you already have block, of course, and the rest is a block runner and a couple of guard blockers. So we said it again, guard on your blockers is what you want. It's going to make life a lot easier, especially considering what his next matchup is. We'll get to that shortly. But other than that, he's up at 1210 TV. He's got a pretty hefty treasury. If he wanted to, he could buy a 4th reroll. I assume he's not because he doesn't want his TV to go up too high. But he can very easily replace people if he needs to. That's not going to be a problem for him. I mean, his team's looking a lot more solid at this point. His first 2 games were horrible for him. But he's got some good level ups now, and he's got some guys at 3 and 4 that could actually pick up a level soon enough. So things could be looking up for him. Even though he's tied for 5th, he, is in a pretty reasonably good place. So let's get to the teams down in 7th. We have Heavy Weapons Gentlemen Orcs. And he's still got all of his players here. Where does money go? He's got a treasury of 0. He's got a troll now. So he decided his money would go best towards buying a troll. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that long term, but we'll see what happens. Trolls on a orc team are kind of adding more of something that's already a strength for you. So, I mean, there's a lot of mixed feelings about trolls on an orc team. And other than that, he's got a guard blitzer. He's got a black orc. And other than that, he's got some guys at 5 and 3 and 4. He could be due for a good game. But until then, he's got to deal with just a couple of level ups. And unfortunately, despite the fact he's got 2 level ups, since he's bought a troll, he's got a pretty high TV. So he's not going to be getting a lot of inducement money. And finally is Gil Keys' Neo Band of the Hawk, only at 1010 TV. And he's got a lot of his players back now. He was actually running without a couple for his last game. He's got a lineman that's going to miss his next game, and his only skill up so far has been guard. So things have been going pretty rough for him. There's no denying that. He's pretty down on his chances, and I can understand that. He's going to have to do some work with a not terribly skilled up team. But we'll see what happens. So now that that's done, let's look at the actual mashups for Day 5. First we have Ekithump's Corn Demons versus Six-Legged Spiders Dark Elves. As you may recall, Ekithump's got a lot of block, and he's got a little bit of guard, and his team's coming up along, doing nicely, but I kind of predict this one's going to end up in a draw. Of all the teams to have stab against, it's not bad having it against Corn, and of course it avoids this whole block problem, although I'm still not a huge fan of the Assassin. But the Dark Elves will still just outpace his team. He doesn't have to worry about players catching up to him, especially that 8 movement blitzer. So Eki Thump is absolutely winning the skill competition, but just based on the really good movement of the Dark Elf players, I think that's probably going to end up as a draw. And next is Walrus versus a Sad Panda. So the two teams that are tied in first place are going to face off. And the big difference here is the TVs. Panda's down at under 1,000. And you've seen Walrus's team, which is pretty scary. Obviously, Panda could make really good use of his inducements here. He's going to have a ton of inducement money. But I think you've just got to give it to Walrus's Orcs. 2 blitzers with agility on them means he can actually do some passing. And the Amazons are not that fast. They're not going to be chasing down these pass targets very well. Obviously, they can mark them, but it's not like he's any faster than the Orc team, and the Orc team is stronger than him. So I think it could be close. If Panda gets really good use out of his inducements, then it could really go either way. But I would say, just looking at it from a distance, I'd give that one to Walrus. And next is Tortas Dwarves versus Gil Keys Humans. This one's going to be kind of close, actually. Neither one of these teams really has that much in the way of levels. I actually think Gil Keys going to pull off the mild upset and beat Torta. His Ogre's actually back and is going to get to do some work, and Torta doesn't have enough guard on the line to really comfortably take the Ogre down. And the speed advantage is definitely a big thing. Torta's got that crazy passy dwarf runner, but we'll have to see what happens. I think that Gil Keys got more movement and can have a little bit more strength where it matters. So I think he may pull off the upset here, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if this one's a close game. It really could go either way. And finally is Heavy Weapons Gentlemen's Orcs versus Tall One's Dwarves. It's actually surprisingly tough, I think, despite the fact that Yura's really moving up in the ranks from his horrible first weeks, and Heavy Weapons Gentleman is tied for last place. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Tall One. The thing is that Heavy Weapons Gentleman bought a troll, which looks kind of suspect on the surface, but it does mean that all this guard that Yura's got is going to run into 4 strength 4 and 1 strength 5 piece. So it's going to kind of at best make him even. It's not going to be like he's outstrengthing some, human team without guard or something like that. So that one I don't feel as comfortable about. I think I would bet on Tall One winning, but that one's going to be really close. And that's all I got. If you've got any predictions, go ahead and post them down in the comments. Or if you have anything to say, if you want to trash talk your upcoming opponents in the tournament, if you just want to say something, let me know. This has been the Week 5 wrap-up for the Mister Hadwick Championship Invitational Season 1. I'll see you next week, and thanks for watching.